The first rule on Amazon is never go out of stock.
Because the second you go out of stock, you lose all your momentum and you don't have the ability to regain it that fast. Like it sometimes can reset you for 2 to 6 weeks, depending on how long you're out of stock. Definitely try to avoid that.
Maybe you can just give them a little bit of background about who you are and how did you tap into this space? How did you find Amazon and what intrigued you to start launching a product on Amazon?
So I used to be a television reporter, and I was doing a live weather hit in Wisconsin. It was the biggest blizzard in a decade. I went on the air at 10 o'clock at night. Everybody's home in their pajamas, but instead, I missed my cue. I couldn't see the cameraman. The storm was so blurry in front of me, and I felt like an idiot. I was wondering, what am I doing with my life? And that was a really big coming of age moment. I decided to quit the news industry that night. And it took me a couple of years going back to school, get an MBA, working for various corporations from one failed startup to another. And I finally fell into Amazon. So I know a lot of people are testing Amazon as a beginner straight in and they dabble directly in Amazon. But I had the blessing of working on the corporate side, working on Amazon first. And so I worked with women's plus size clothing, kitchen equipment. Back in the day, there was PPC clicks for 2 cents a click, and I had the #1 slot with rice cookers. I was part of Amazon's first beta advertising group when I was selling women's plus size clothing. And so I took that knowledge and realized after all these failed startups kept collapsing that I wanted to do it for myself. And so I took the money that I made doing that in my 20s and then invested into making an Amazon product. I ran a bazillion A/B tests using Clickthrough, which really helped me figure out how to design it, how to build a main image. So on the listing, this main image here, I tested so many times, like we're talking 12 A/B tests to land on this.
Mm.
And I tested packaging, I tested layout. Should I have the soaps, in a rotation like this? How should I show the inner soaps? How should I rotate them? Should it be a plus sign? Should it be a quad? Should it be stacked? Should I show the box? Every sort of combination I A/B tested. And the reason I spent so much time A/B testing is because the click-through rate is the most critical step to increase sales on Amazon, in my opinion. The best time to launch a product, in my opinion, is that Thanksgiving rush. And so it's actually a great time to launch right around Black Friday. And I was a little late. We were a couple weeks later than I wanted to be, but basically launching, December 5th, we immediately shot up. I sold through 500, 600 units in that first 30-day span. It's exactly what I set out to do. We were able to get #1 new release in artisan soaps. That badge was critical for our success. We were able to have really good ACOS in the first month launching. Those are things you can't get if you launch in July with a non-July seasonal product, for example. And then even after the December holiday came and gone, January was still strong for us. We just kept that momentum up. Then we pushed into the next holiday, which was Valentine's Day. And then after that, it just was sustained. It was just really stable.
So that's amazing. Did you run into like a moment where you're like, oh, I might run out of inventory and I have to like
I did.
split a second order? How soon did that happen? Because it sounds like you had a really successful launch.
One of the nice things about tools like Helium 10 is that you can see everybody's stockouts by following this blue line. So I did good the first year, but I had my first stock out on 11/20. You can see a little gap there. That might have been my listing going down or a stock out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we got back pretty fast. You can see it was only down for 3 days. But listing yanks or going out of stock, definitely don't recommend. #1 rule about selling on Amazon is never go out of stock, right? Because the second you go out of stock, you lose all your momentum and you don't have the ability to regain it that fast. Like it sometimes can reset you for 2 to 6 weeks, depending on how long you're out of stock. Definitely try to avoid that. One of the things that I did, and I wouldn't recommend this necessarily, but this is what I did, is to have a 60-day supply at my warehouse and a 60-day supply at Amazon. And so if I saw a spike in sales at Amazon, I had some run rate to get a reorder in. And because I was selling in the United States from a manufacturer in the United States, my turnaround was only 6 weeks on an order. And so I felt pretty comfortable. So that's the nice thing about beauty or consumable products is that, they're generally made in the United States, but the downside is margin. For most beauty products made in the United States, you're going to pay a little bit more on the COGS and whatnot.
If you like this content, subscribe now and leave me a comment with what video you want me to shoot next.